I never thought pressing a single button could set off a chain of chaos across an entire neighborhood and end up with our HOA president facing criminal charges. But that's exactly what happened the day Karen Whitfield decided her little badge of authority gave her the right to break into my house with a fake master key. And let me tell you, if you think that sounds wild, just wait, because it only gets better from here. You know what I mean? The craziest part? I wasn't even home. I was miles away, stuck on a Zoom call with clients in Japan, while my 12-year-old son, Leo, was the one standing in the crosshairs, just watching the whole mess unfold in real time. What Karen didn't realize was every single thing she did, every dramatic gesture, every attempt at playing hero, it was all being caught on camera, and those recordings would come back to bite her in ways she never saw coming. Name's Marcus Chun, single dad, software engineer, just a regular guy who thought moving to Willowbrook Estates would mean a shot at peace, maybe even safety. Definitely a fresh start for me and my boy. 3 months back, Leo and I packed up our old place, moved into this picture-perfect gated community, you know the type, manicured lawns, tidy sidewalks, houses that all look like they came out of a real estate ad, and at first glance, it all felt like we'd finally made it. I honestly thought we'd have a break from the nonsense of city life. Instead, what we walked into was a neighborhood run like a petty dictatorship by Karen Whitfield, a woman who'd apparently confused volunteer HOA president with supreme ruler of the block. She introduced herself before the moving truck was even gone, clipboard in hand, eyeing our boxes like they were biohazards, giving us this speech about maintaining community standards with a tone so syrupy you could pour it on pancakes, except behind that smile was something cold, a little threatening, and I just tried to laugh it off. Figured it was harmless suburban politics. That lasted right up until she caught sight of Leo coming home from the bus stop alone. I was unloading groceries, minding my own business, and here comes Karen, marching up my driveway, putting on her most concerned voice. Single fathers often struggle with child supervision. Maybe you should consider after-school care. Now, I get it, folks like to meddle, but I told her straight Leo's 12, more mature than half the adults I know, and besides, I work from home, got eyes on him the whole time through her security cameras. She gave me this smile, not a real one, more like she was already making plans and walked off, but I could feel it in my bones. This was just the opening act. A couple days later, she was back, knocking on the door, waving some supposed HOA rulebook, claiming there's a bylaw against leaving kids under 16 home alone. I asked to see if she told me it was under revision, whatever that meant, but somehow that revision never seemed to end. What did start, though, was Karen's daily surveillance routine every weekday. 3:45 sharp, her silver SUV would cruise by our house, sometimes parking across the street, sometimes just crawling past with her phone pointed right at us. Leo even asked me once if she was trying to kidnap him. That's how weird it got. We started logging times, taking our own photos, making sure the cameras were always rolling, just in case, but honestly, nothing prepared us for what happened that Tuesday in October. So there I am, neck deep in a high-stakes video call, trying to close a deal with a room full of Japanese executives, when suddenly my phone starts blowing up motion alert, door sensor, failed key entry attempt. Then Karen's voice actually blasting through the security speaker, demanding Leo let her in for his own safety. I went from confused to full-on panic in 2 seconds flat. Through the security app, one watched her jamming a key into the lock, yelling about being the HOA president and conducting some kind of welfare check. Leo, bless that kid, he stayed calm, hit the emergency lockdown I'd set up when we moved in, locking every door and window, flipping all the cameras to record, then called me, voice shaking just a little. Dad, that Karen lady's trying to get in. She says she has a key, but it won't work. My heart's pounding out my chest, but I tell him he did the right thing, to stay put, and I'll handle it. Through the security speaker, I tell Karen flat out she's trespassing, that she needs to leave now. That's when she made her big mistake. She called 911. She tells the dispatcher there's an abandoned child in danger. Paints me like some negligent monster, but when I call to explain the situation myself, they cut me off. Officers are already en route. I hung up, jumped in the car, and that 15-minute drive felt like a lifetime. By the time I pulled up, there were 2 police cruisers parked right in front of my house, lights flashing, Karen storming back and forth on the porch, phone waving in the air, ranting about irresponsible parenting. Officers Martinez and Thompson, good guys, as it turned out, stood on the porch, calm as could be, while Karen pointed at me as I got out, yelling, "That's the father he abandoned his son." Officer Martinez turned to me, deadpan. "Sir, can we hear your side?" So I walked right up, used my reel, key Karen's master, one dangling useless in her hand, and let everyone in. Leo was at the kitchen table, homework open, cool as a cucumber, even gave the officers a little wave. They checked him over food, water, communication, all fine, and then I showed them the security footage. There it was, clear as day. Karen trying to break in, failing, then calling 911, her face full of fury, not concern. Officer Thompson asked about the key, and Karen's story collapsed on the spot. "It was from a maintenance visit for emergencies," she stammered. "You duplicated a homeowner's key without permission?" he pressed. "It's HOA policy," she tried. "Produce the policy," said Officer Martinez. Of course she couldn't. I pulled up my file dates, screenshots, videos of Karen's surveillance runs, and even testimony from Mrs. Rodriguez, our neighbor across the street, who had filmed Karen sitting in her car for half an hour just watching our place. At this point, neighbors started drifting out, pretending to check mail, but everyone was really there for the show. You could see phones up, recording, because this was about to go viral in the HOA Facebook group in no time. Officers pulled Karen aside, asked more questions. This time, the words false report, unlawful entry, and trespassing came up. She started looking pale. When they asked one last time for any bylaw that allowed her to do what she'd done, she mumbled something about a document at home. Officer Thompson just shook his head. "No, HOA agreement overrides state property law. Ma'am, you're being cited for unlawful attempted entry and filing a false emergency report." Karen tried to argue, "You can't. I'm the president," but Officer Martinez just wrote the ticket, stone-faced. I told the officers I'd be pressing charges, that my attorney would follow up, and that's when Karen finally seemed to realize she'd lost. The next HOA meeting was a circus, standing room only, neighbors packed in tight. My attorney Jacob Morrison, who specializes in HOA nightmares, on my side. He presented every bit of evidence: the duplicated key, the harassment, the impact on Leo, the wasted police resources, all of it, calmly and factually, while Karen sat at the head of the table, suddenly without her usual army of supporters. Tom Bradley, the treasurer, admitted the board never approved any master key policy. Sarah Kim, the secretary, produced meeting minutes proving Karen's bid for emergency access rights had been denied, flat out. The vote of no confidence was unanimous. Even her loyalists turned when the facts were laid out. When the results came in, Karen stood up, face red, and spat. "You'll regret this. Without me, this neighborhood will fall apart," then stormed out to dead silence. But that wasn't the end. Karen was fined $5,000 for filing a false report. The key stunt led to criminal misdemeanor charges, and her real estate license was suspended pending investigation. We filed a civil suit for harassment and emotional distress, and we won. She had to pay out $15,000, was barred from ever serving on the HOA again, and there's a restraining order that keeps her 100 feet from my house. The day of her sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and watched as the judge listed off her crimes, one after another. When the bailiff explained the terms of her probation, Karen, once so smug, actually broke down in tears. The woman who ruled our street by fear and fake authority, reduced to just another cautionary tale, and all because my 12-year-old son knew when to hit the panic button. So let me ask, do you believe anyone, even a so-called HOA president, should have a master key to your house? Drop your thoughts below. Where do you draw the line between community safety and personal rights? If you want more stories of entitled power getting put in its place, stick around and join the conversation. This is one you won't want to miss.